Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your co-host, RJ, the pretty depressed bluer, must be said up front, joined by the happy Gunners strike back, Scott the Gooner, and Rob, the Rashford-inspired Premier League's best player, Red Devil. Robbie, you're beaming, mate. I'll start with you first. How you doing?
Yeah, look, to be honest, a bit tired. 1 o'clock is on a Monday morning, or is a killer. But honestly, as a United fan at the moment, we've got a lot to be happy about, man. So it's all positive for the moment.
Stop gloating. Nah, just kidding. But Scott, how you doing, my mate?
Yeah, man, nice to be back in the winners' circle after a couple of weeks. It had been rough. And that game, which we'll unpack, that game against Villa, one for the neutral, but one for the Arsenal fan even more. There were so many little subplots, but buzzing, boys. Always a pleasure to be with you on Monday evenings. RJ?
Flying, mate, buzzing, who cares about Chelsea? It's not about winning. It's about trying your best because ultimately that's life. And that's the famous last words of Graham Potter. But forget all that. Huge results over the weekend. You touched on a couple of them. A lot of other big matches as well that affect both ends of the ladder, which we will definitely touch on. But if you're new to the channel, super important, slap a like, share with your friends. We really want to make sure that we're reaching that wider audience and hear from you, the passionate football fan like ourselves. And speaking of passionate football fans, Scott, I believe the couch has got some awesome members in it.
Yeah, we got Justin in the chat. Justin, we got the concierge, bigging up my Regista, Jorginho, Arsenal legend. Justin on the poll, not being biased, but for those who said no in the poll, who's playing better? I did put a poll up saying, is Rashford the best player in the league at the moment? Obviously, he's all the hype. He's all the hype at the moment, Marcus Rashford, rightfully so. Having a brilliant season, scored again against the Foxes. Maybe that's the place we start tonight. Robbie, your result and the simple question, is Marcus Rashford the best player in the Premier League this season?
Yeah, look, I could say he's the best player right now, and I think it's been for post-World Cup. I think he's probably been the most consistent, and he's got the numbers and stats to back that up. Look, again, United obviously right at the start of the season started slow, but then since then he's been a top goal scorer. He's been our clutch man. I'd probably say he's got us most of our points over the season in all competitions. But yeah, look, I do. He's having a purple patch, or a very big purple patch, and as United fans, big patch, man. And like I said, he's we had this kind of conversation the other night about world class players. Well, taking the words out of what will branch enough to be, he's in world class form at the moment. Okay, I still wouldn't. You can't say he's world class, but he's definitely in world class form. And United
he's world class, boys. He's world class.
He's world class. But look, and United, as a unit, to be honest, they're in very good form themselves. Home record's very good. Obviously today, again, another massive 3 points for us, considering results are again over the past few weeks, even this weekend. Slowly creeping up that ladder again. Slowly, I'm going to say putting the pressure on. 3 points behind City, obviously 5 behind Arsenal. Obviously, they've got a game in hand. But, mate, I have to say, one of our best performances again this morning. The game started 100 miles an hour, I have to say. We were just out of the blocks, crazy, but I think too crazy, if that makes sense. And, the first 10 minutes were all over them. And then it was about 15 minutes where Leicester had a really good spell when they got in behind us about 2-3 times, and that's where, if you guys seen the highlights, David De Gea would have to make 2 massive saves that kept us in the game at that point. But from it then on, obviously it was a little bit later on, and obviously we got the breakthrough goal with Marcus Rashford. Went into halftime at 1-0 down, and I really think Eric gave the hairdryer treatment because the boys came out. He made a big change, bring on Sancho. Half time, and mate, he went into the 10, shifted the boys around, and we completely dominated that second half. Honestly, it could have been 6th and 7th goal. We scored another 2. Obviously, Marcus with a double, and Sancho off the bench scored 1 as well. But we were honestly toying with them towards the end of the game, mate. Honestly, I had a smile on my face because that's how United should be playing. We had the couple of years under Oli and Jose when we got a second, and we were up the table, but we weren't playing nice football. Now I can actually put them together and say we're up the table and we're actually playing beautiful football, man. So I think we have Ten Hag to thank in that department.
RJ, I said a couple of weeks back that if Arsenal don't win the title, I think Manchester United will. I think they are the biggest competition. City, for me, even though they embarrassed us the other week, still not feeling it. And this United team are red hot, pardon the pun. Do you think I'm on the money with that? Are you concerned? Like, because let's face it, we have something in common. We hate Manchester United. Are you concerned with how well they're playing, Arch?
I am concerned because what Rob said spot on. Yes, he's a biased United fan, but he's also pretty level-headed. I think we can all agree. And they have been really good, man. What I've been most impressed about with Erik ten Hag was he's not just a results-driven manager. Results are number one of importance, but everything that flows underneath to make it sustainable is the culture effect he's had.
Yeah.
Handled the Ronaldo stuff supremely. Manage some of the underperformers, got them back either sitting on the bench or work your way back into good form. He's really unified a disjointed group. And yeah, put simply, Manchester United are back to their old scary self. But good for the Premier League, not good for poor old Arsenal, and certainly not good for the slow peckers like Chelsea, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the takeover rumours continue to swell about Manchester United. A lot of smoke around the Qatari bid. Robbie, I have to ask you, right, because this seems to come up. It came up around Newcastle and everyone was kind of saying to them, Qatari money, Saudi Arabian money, like, how do you feel about that? For me, quite simply, there's no billionaire who's a billionaire through charitable deeds. Somewhere along the line, you've taken some risks. You've got very lucky. I would have not a care in the world if someone took over my club and did what Todd Bowley's doing at Chelsea. As much as we hate it because it's not our team going and splashing just stupid amounts of money. I would love to see us splash stupid amounts of money. Are you excited about the potential new owners, Robbie?
Yeah, look, I'm very on feet on the ground at the moment. A lot of people were jumping up and down like it's sold. I think this has actually got it's going to be a bidding war. I think it's literally going to go to auction, and I don't think, like I said previously, I don't think it's going to go to the highest bidder. I know there could be up to 8 people that are interested, and I haven't got interest. I don't know everything deep about the whole political part of it and this that, but. Look, at the moment, for me, my vote goes to the Qataris. If you would ask me straight out who I want, for many reasons. But again, a lot of people going to have PR in here. A lot of people you're not going to hear a lot of the backstory unless you start looking into other stories. Sir Jim Radcliffe, he's obviously put his he's a big one as well, and a British guy. He owns, he's got other sporting, like he's a part of the Mercedes in Formula One. He owns Nice in France. So there's a lot of stuff. But the biggest thing I'm in fear of is that someone's going to come and invest or be a part owner, a percentage owner, and they're still going to have the Glazers involved. That's what I'm scared of the most. For me, that's why I'm more on the Qatari side. This guy wants to come in. He wants 100% purchase of the club with a full sale. And actually, I really do I believe that they would come in and, it would be a bit of a carbon copy of the City project, how they've come in, pumped their money. They'll want to take money out of the club, around the community. They'll do work in the community. We are behind in facilities. So, state of the art, fix up the training ground, fix up the stadium, pump money into the youth, the women's and men's team. I do kind of believe, and that's why for me at the moment they're getting the vote. They're my vote. But again, I think there's a lot of stuff to come out, and we know how greedy the Glazers are, and I think if they can have a piece of the pie, they're definitely going to be in for them still.
I'm not buying any Glazer smoke, man. Again, no one's talking about the Glazers at the moment.
Everyone's talking about the Glazers.
The players they brought in are doing a great job.
Every week at the stadium, there's Glazers out. Just because you don't see it,
just because Borche's standing there with his scarf, it doesn't mean it's.
Mate, watch the games and you'll see Glazers out. They're going harder now because people think it won't happen.
Of course, you want the Qatari money, but you know what? All I'm saying is they're not as bad as you guys make them out to be. They brought Ten Hag in. They've backed Ten Hag. They brought in the players you wanted. You got the best centre back in the world, apparently. They got rid of Ronaldo.
They're just taking $1 billion out of the club. Mate, we generate our own money. People don't understand that. Yeah, we generate our own money. We don't even need, if Qataris come in, they don't have to pump money, honestly. If they let the club run as it should and they don't take money out of the club, we'll be able to run the club fine, just without pumping money into us. That's my opinion anyway.
Interesting. RJ, do you want to weigh in on any of that before we talk about your Blues?
Nah, mate, I've heard quite enough about United. They're flying high, but can they sustain it? Robbie, final question on United. Well, Firstly, I saw your little group chat thing about the potential red card, the whole intent thing, mate. To me, that looked pretty reckless. It looked reckless, even if he didn't mean it. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty dangerous challenge, but they get away with it. Who cares?
Of course they do.
The broader question, are Manchester United now in a title race?
No.
Okay. When do they become in a title race?
What are you talking about?
I've told you. When we're on the same games as Arsenal, if Arsenal play the same games as us and we're under 10 points, fine. Done.
So they would be, though. Even if Arsenal win, they'll be 8 points behind.
Okay, well then I'll say we're in a title challenge. Now I said that anything under 10 on the same games under double digits, I'm going to say we're in a title race.
You heard it here, folks. Rob says Red Devils are title favourites.
22 is coming.
21, mate. Don't get ahead
21. That's right. I've already given you one. RJ, let's talk about your team because we talk about the Qataris coming in and spending a whole bunch of money. Todd Bowley's come in. He spent a whole bunch of money. You've signed. You're like the blue Norwich. Nottingham Forest, sorry, not Norwich. You're the blue Nottingham Forest. And it's not clicking, man. It's not clicking at all. You lost to Southampton, bottom of the league, managerless. And Potter in the press conference, I have to say, I understand you can't just lose your shit. It's not going to achieve much. But he looks chill. He looks like there's not one care in the world. I think he knows that he's safe, Graham Potter. And I think that is the most dangerous thing a manager or a player can have. Absolutely no fear of the consequences of results, because that's when you get complacent or that's when you start to accept losing. Do you think Graham Potter is complacent?
I think having that safety net, the public safety net of long-term project results aren't important right now. We just want to see progress. It definitely breeds that sense of complacency. But just a few comments. So obviously Southampton, terrible result, backed by a pretty woeful performance. The second half, I did see a response. Sterling should have scored. We should have scored a couple more. We didn't. Southampton, as soon as they got that free kick, we all knew Ward-Prowse was going to score. It was just another day where we made some baby steps, progress against Dortmund, played well. Most neutrals I spoke to said Chelsea came out with respect after that game. They lost. Dortmund were clinical. We weren't, again, goal line clearance, blah, blah, blah. But progress against Dortmund, go get a win against Saints, and all things are well. We go and lose to the team that couldn't keep a clean sheet except for once, and we don't score again. Naturally, the fan base is enraged. I'm enraged. We're all angry as Chelsea fans. As Chelsea fans, we're all very angry, mate. I was peaking. 4 a.m. Sunday morning, I was on fire, mate. My head was going to explode. But anyway, Potter out. That's the cause. Everybody says it's enough now. This is unacceptable. For me, it's a difficult one because for so long, I've been promoting stability. I've been promoting patience. Long-term, get it right. Don't just hire and fire. The Roman days are gone. But the idea of just backing something without getting the progress behind it is difficult to keep absorbing. I stand by the comment of I don't care necessarily where we finish, provided we don't relegate, of course, but results aren't as important provided I see a clear identity in some sense of progress. If we don't get the latter part and the former part is bad, why are you keeping someone on board? So for me, look, I don't want to be reactionary and say 1 minute I'm Potter in and 1 minute Potter out. I'm not definitive like that. You know that. I'm very patient. But the reality is, I think even though the board and all these journalists come out and say Potter's safe, blah, 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 if it keeps going the way it's going and we're not seeing any progress with all the money that's been invested, I do say that the new owners will be tested. Their patience and resolve will be tested, and rightfully so, because at the end of the day, you can't just go in there in a club like Chelsea. And like you said, Scott, these press conferences, the players, they're walking out, it's all very casual. There doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency, a sense of passion. Nobody's saying you have to come out and be Jose Mourinho or Tuchel or Conte. Nobody said that. But what you do expect is that you feel the frustration of the fan base. Don't come out after the game and say things like,
That's life.
That's life. Or people think that I'm part of the problem. Well, buddy, of course you're part of the problem, because at the moment you're clearly not part of the solution. So you must be part of the problem. You were brought in squarely to be the major part of the solution, and things are going pear-shaped. So when you come out and say things like that, rightly or wrongly, you enrage the fan base. So for me, look, I could go on about this all night. This is not a Chelsea show. This is one angry Chelsea fan, but it's not full panic stations just yet, because look, what happens if we go home, we go now and we go beat Dortmund and we go and beat Tottenham? All of a sudden, oh yeah, Potter, now I can see progress. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not as committed. I know what you're saying, but to me, the narrative can change very quickly is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that.
Look, for me, I'd sack him immediately. I want to give him another game, man. He's a good manager. We during his Brighton tenure, all of us, took me a while to come on board, but I admitted that I was wrong. We all sang his praises. He did a brilliant job at Brighton. But at Brighton, you don't have the pressure of a big club with big signings and a fan base who demand big things. And I think Chelsea fans should demand the best. You're a team that's notorious for winning. But at the moment, he looks out of his depth. He looks completely out of his depth. He looks like he doesn't know what to do in terms of handling the media, handling the pressure, handling the expectations. I said this when he moved. I don't think he'll see out the season. I genuinely don't. He's not Chelsea caliber. He's not Chelsea caliber. He should have stayed at Brighton. He should have continued doing the madness that he was doing there. I think it was a big, big mistake. Robbie, give us your thoughts.
I can't understand Chelsea at the moment, and that's my honest opinion. I just don't understand how from the start we go back to the start how they sacked Tuchel so quickly, and what's the different situation between giving him a short amount of space with credit in the bank in Chelsea and then going out getting someone backing the hell out of him? Obviously, hasn't really got a massive reaction results wise, and they're continuing and they're saying we're going to back him. For me, look, if this was Roman, I reckon Chucha would have been back already by now. To be honest, yeah. I think he would have been gone because we know that was fact. If you don't, we're Chelsea Football Club. If you don't deliver with results, see you later. Next one out the door, and it's a successful thing. And look, fair enough. I respect the thing that they're not going to go down the same road, but where they're sitting, the money they're spending, and look. You can only use an excuse of the team's not clicking and injuries to an extent, because we've been going for that all season and somehow we're still sitting there. We had 5 first-teamers out of today's game and we're still going. Ten Hag is new to the Premier League, and within, after 3 games after getting built at the second, and we've got, from the 3rd game onwards, bang, we could see a change of style. We could see his starting 11. For me, I haven't seen consistent starting 11. He's starting to get players back now, like your Reece James. Obviously, they've got to work their way back to fitness and stuff. But, the amount of flair that the ball, I can't understand how they don't score goals. All very essential. I'm not taking a dig at you or Chelsea. I can't understand Chelsea because you look at that team on paper and there's a lot of good players in that team. I'm not going to say
but that's what I'm trying to. That's why I know 100%. I suppose. Look, that's. The criticism is easy because it's obvious. What's not as obvious, I suppose, is the counterpoint here. I'd say, look, you're trying to be the board, you're trying to figure out why is it going wrong. Like you said, you can use excuses to an extent, but what I saw against Southampton was a combination of him being a bit naive, as well as the players themselves, again, letting him down too, because it's not just fair to say it's him out there. Like against Fulham, against Dortmund, against even Southampton with the chances created, part of these things are tactical related, like not picking Reece James, not picking Thiago Silva because he's 38 and he needs rest. But some of the changes he can influence, but some of those misses in front of goal and some of the things that are happening are beyond the manager's responsibility. So it's easy to say Potter's the problem. He's part of the problem, but the players themselves, and look, Mudryk, Enzo Fernandez, Madueke, yes, a lot of these great players have come in and individually have shown some good things. And when I watch them in detail, because that's what I do, there are moments you think, mate, there's something happening here. And then when we go and concede a cheap goal and we lose, everybody forgets all of that because we lost. Fine. But for them now to pull the trigger, knowing that he just got these new players in, he's just got some of these players coming back, ignoring the first 9 games where we were undefeated, it's making a decision and talking about project all a little bit of a farce if we go and pull the trigger straight away now. So for me, look, criticism justified, complacency probably present, but I'm still back Potter for now because he is still someone that's plying his trade. He isn't an experienced manager, and there's got to be some sort of flexibility. But who knows, man? 2 or 3 games, if we get pummeled against Dortmund, get smashed against Spurs, I expect the Heat to follow him. So we'll see.
I just got one more question for you. Why doesn't he use Aubameyang as striker? Obviously, it's not working. Why?
But it wasn't working with him.
Not even in
Aubameyang hasn't been playing good. And Tuchel as well. That's what I forgot. People saying, why did we get rid of Tuchel so soon? And I was like that. We all said it. I thought it was too soon, but it was personality related. We've got to remember the end of Tuchel's reign, the last 6 months, we struggled to just get into where we finished.
Better than this.
But how would you know that? How would you know that? We lost 1-0 to Dinamo Zagreb. We were bottom of the Champions League group at that time. So I think it's easy to say keep Tuchel now, but the trajectory when he was there in his final days, we were on the decline. And if we didn't make the change, people would say, Chelsea used to be ruthless. Why did you keep Tuchel beyond his expiry?
Tuchel wasn't backed the way Potter's been backed. Go and give Tuchel, Mudryk, Fernandes half of European football, and I'm sure he would have done a much better job. But look,
we'll never know. We'll never know.
100%. We'll never know. Look, let's move on. But certainly watching this space, I can't sit here and think that Todd Bowley would be satisfied with what's going on at Chelsea.
No one is, mate.
And you know what? We're about to segue into Arsenal's performance. I do see parallels in your situation now and ours under Arteta. I think the difference is under Arteta, we didn't have a strong squad. Arteta's squad was not as strong as Chelsea's squad. It was a good squad, but nowhere near that level. So I think Arteta had a little bit more leeway in that sense and got a little bit more patience because we were used to, we won a few FA Cups, but that was it. I just think it's going to be a lot harder. And you'd remember I said this to Miz, RJ. I said, I don't know if your fan base has the patience to back a process.
That's the problem, Scott. That's the problem, though. The standards, sorry to cut you in, but you're right. The Arteta comparison's good. Ten Hag to a lesser extent because he's hit the ground running. The thing about Chelsea is these standards, we've won a Champions League, we've lost multiple domestic cup finals, we haven't won a Premier League in 5-6 years. Where are these standards coming from in terms of domestic campaign? We haven't all of a sudden gone from first and second and plummeted. We've struggled to make top 4 for the last 3 seasons. Our best season was under Lampard and then Tuchel when he got us in 4th spot. So we can't turn around and say Chelsea's standards have all of a sudden dropped because of this
I don't remember you guys sitting around 9th, 10th for this long.
Well, when Lampard got sacked, he was 8th before and he was 5 points out of top 4. Now our form's a lot worse. But the point or the narrative of Chelsea all of a sudden gone from these heavy hitters in the top to dropping is not true because we haven't been at the top for some time. So I think it's important.
Fair enough.
Ladies, gentlemen, I think we're about 3 or 4 Chelsea losses away from you seeing the real RJ good things. Trust me, he calls himself the balanced blue, but he's the fire blue. Robbie knows it. Look at the smile. We're about 3 losses away. We're about 3 away. For those who have just tuned in, make sure you drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. And, of course, I can see our man FPL Rubber Duckies in the house. You won't want to miss the last 10 minutes. It's been all Chelsea talk, so make sure you go back a little bit later on. Let's let him close this off. All of Chelsea's problems are not of Potter's making. Saying that, the longer he's there, the more liability. Yeah, last week was on Potter. Let's talk about this week. It's on Arteta. It is on Arteta. We needed this win. The resilience shown by the squad thoroughly impressed me. that they were on the end of a beatdown, the same way I was when Borchek made his call-out video of me, didn't let me respond. We were on the beatdown end. We were copping it. But you know what we did? We wound back to early in the season where we were showing that we could overcome adversity, and we did exactly that. We stayed calm. We didn't stuff around. We took our chances. We took some shots, and we took 3 points. That is what we needed. Absolutely what Arsenal needed. Without Thomas Partey, we are half the team we normally are. But if we can take points like that without him, I'm happy with that. Jorginho, for me, very obvious he lacks pace. Pace is not his strong point. Him and I are like brothers in that sense. But what he does have is this, and he's got some brilliant feet. His passing was on point, as Matt was saying here. Welcome to the channel, Matthew. Nice to see a new face. His passing was world-class for us. Absolutely was. And that shot, to see it, and Robbie, I know you're not a fan of Emi Martinez, like myself. To see that shot smack the crossbar, should have gone in on its own, come back and bounce into the goal of Emi Martinez's head.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
I could not have wished for a better footballing moment. That, for me, that was just, it was a beautiful moment. I've witnessed some good moments in my life. Child being born, got married. I was in RJ's bridal party. I've had a few drinks with you before, Robbie, seen you with less on than your singlet. But that moment, that was right up there. That was gold. That shot, ooh, absolutely gold. A couple of things I'm worried about, boys, because it's not all positivity. Zinchenko, for me, I'm putting the goal to the side. Brilliant goal, cracking strike. We are getting attacked down that left-hand side with a little bit too much ease. I love the inverted wingback. I like that he's cutting in. It was working, but it's been figured out now. Zinchenko is not the world's greatest defender. In terms of defense, Kieran Tierney is levels above him as a defender. I'm wondering if we need to play both of them guys. I would start Kieran Tierney at left back and maybe let Zinchenko have a stint in the middle. In saying that, I wouldn't drop Granit Xhaka, can't drop Jorginho on form, but maybe just give Zinchenko that bit of rotation because he hasn't been brilliant in terms of form. Eddie Nketiah, I'm super critical of. You boys know that. He shut me up for a while. He did what he needed to do, banged in goals. That's gone very quiet. He's missed a lot of chances the last few games. Time for Eddie to kind of fix that up. Fortunately, Jesus is almost returning. It's almost Easter. Jesus will come back to us. But I'm just a little bit worried about a couple of things I'm seeing. Ramsdale's been a touch suspect. Left back's worrying me, and up front with Eddie. We're not playing down the left-hand side at all. All of our attack is coming through Saka. And whoever's playing on that left is suffering for it. So just hoping we freshen it up a little bit and that Mikel's onto it. Robbie, as our fellow title challengers, what did you make of the Arsenal performance?
I think that's games that champions win, to be honest. Look, I predicted this one in favour of Villa. I just had a feeling, and I predicted 2-1, and I actually turned it off at 2-1. That's when I started to fall asleep and woke up, and I seen the score. I'm like, well, obviously I seen the highlights after, and I think that's a big result, man. Considering the form you guys have been in the last couple of weeks with the hiccups, the loss obviously at the City, the draw the other day. I think that's a big result again, especially when City had a draw themselves this week. We'll probably get to that, but look, another 3 points for you guys. I agree completely. I think you guys are very right hand side. Everything goes through Saka, but look, we can say nearly the same about Rashford goal scoring wise. But for me, the left hand side, I actually called Trossard at the start. I believe he didn't he, in that game, and I think that was actually a good move. Martinelli ended up coming off and obviously scoring late on the break to finish the game off. But yeah, look, another test obviously coming up on the weekend for you guys. But mate, you guys, as I've said, all season have been in the driving seat, and it's yours to lose still for me.
In response to this, before we go to RJ, no, they are both looking shaky. Saliba, particularly, I'm wondering if it's a bit of fatigue. I don't like the defense being rotated, but we certainly haven't been able to at all. So yeah, they have been shaky. I don't think that's all on Party. Here, Arteta can't drop White. Yeah, look, White played well.
Great.
And then here, good thing the board didn't sack Arteta. Yeah, let's see how that works out for Chelsea too. We'll see what happens.
I'm interested to see what you guys do when Europe kicks in for you guys again, just to see how you manage the whole, every couple of days, not once a week kind of thing. Because again, that's another thing I have to take my hat off to our boys. We're in all 4 tournaments still, playing every 3 days, and it's been like that since before Christmas. With injuries, we've had players come in and do a job in different positions. That's what I mean. I just want to see when a little bit more tests come for Arsenal's way.
And Robbie, speaking of that cup final, before we get RJ's thoughts on Arsenal, tell the people what's happening on Thursday night.
Yeah, look, we've got a good friend of the show, Paul from the Tomb Review, coming on. Obviously, Monday morning Australian time is the first piece of silverware up for grabs in the Carabao Cup, Mickey Mouse Trophy, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we'll be previewing that, and it'll be good to have him on. Manchester United versus Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup final.
So that will be the only other video we drop this week. That will be a live stream Thursday evening. Thursday or Wednesday?
Thursday night. Yeah,
Thursday evening, 8:30 p.m. And that will be live looking at the Carabao Cup final. We're all Newcastle besides Rob. Doing some match predictions as well in there. RJ, we're going to start getting to the end of this stream in a moment, but give us some of your thoughts on Arsenal.
I actually thought it was just great how we're talking about Arsenal, but Rob got to inject some more United positive propaganda.
This has been the United stream. Is this the podcast or is this?
What are you going on about? 20 minutes on Chelsea. What are you going on about?
Who's Chelsea? Don't even rate them. I hate them. But look, Arsenal, I watched that game. I stayed up for it. I was very impressed, actually, of how Aston Villa came out firing and scored a great goal. I thought Watkins, he really finished that with great power and menace. And then the goal they conceded, the second one was good, but Tyrone Mings gave him the goal. Head the ball out, mate. What are you doing? That's an assist as far as I'm concerned. Great finish from Saka. But then the second goal by Villa, that was a top build up from front, from start to finish, top goal. And then, of course, Arsenal, they're playing like the champions elect that they are. But then that Jorginho shot, the guy hardly ever shot the ball.
He's happy now, mate.
He scored one good goal, to be fair, like a proper finish outside the pens. But then, like you said, Emi Martinez, of course, he had to head it in. Typical Aston Villa stuff up. But overall, man, Arsenal, good response to the City humbling. And, what made it worse for me is not only was it an ex-Blue, Chelsea lose, but then Man City gets stumped against Forest. So it's like the world was conspiring against me. But Arsenal, mate, they're looking the goods in terms of showing that they're vulnerable, but they're not completely capitulating. So that must be a good sign for an Arsenal fan, I'd say.
Yeah, mate, look, like I've said all season, I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts because it may not last forever. Obviously, as well, we saw Manchester City dropping points. Just look tired. And Haaland, they need to start unlocking him again, and he's got to find that
miss.
He missed. Unbelievable. I would have scored that, I reckon. That was one result. We saw Liverpool pick up some points, big points to them. Nunez on the score sheet. He's one maybe for the FPL fans to think about with a double game week coming up. I'm sure FPL Rubber Ducky will tell me if that's a good or a bad idea. And we saw, of course, Spurs this morning, wasn't it? Son. Yep. So another good set of points to them. They're just hanging around, Spurs. I don't really like it.
Fourth now. For all their tip up and down, they're fourth at the moment. They're still there.
Yep, spot on. Newcastle obviously losing Pope. The Pope had no blessings for Newcastle United in that game against Liverpool. But we'll talk a little bit more about him come the cup final. That was a quick skim, gents. Are there any other results or incidents you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I just wanted to call out one, and then I'll pass it over. Fulham smash and grab against Brighton. Seriously, I thought they were so under it. But again, Fulham, that was a game I was really looking forward to, and that was a massive 3 points for Fulham. So, Brighton, I think they will feel that's a huge drop set of points.
That's life, RJ. That's life, mate. They've got that Potter mentality.
I reckon.
Robbie, you got any, mate?
Yeah, quick two quick ones. Look, speaking of 3 big points, Everton beating Leeds. That's massive, mate. That's and look, if you look at the table, boys, I reckon from Crystal Palace down, which are sitting in 12th, I honestly reckon no one is safe from 12th down at the moment. It's literally points above it. You win the game, you go out. You lose the game, you're straight back in. Nottingham Forest are out. Bournemouth are out. It's just West Ham. Jesus Christ, well, they're in big trouble, West Ham, and they look bad. And look, after as much as I don't like complimenting that, for me, keep an eye out on Liverpool, boys. When they can go on a bit of a run, I know it's only 2 games, but they're starting to get a few players back.
We say this every week about Liverpool, don't we? They just
honestly,
the sleeping giants.
We seen what they've done. I think was it last season or the season before when they were like 8th or 10th at one point, and then they made it to 3rd. I think that's when they had in the last day they overtook Chelsea, and they went.
Yes.
Like, they had all those losses at home. They went for that bad spell, and bang, next minute they're 3rd. Like
they honestly, need a lot of teams to stuff up, though.
They do, but no. For top 4, I can't. I won't rule them out for top 4. For, like 4th.
Maybe they need a Stephen Bradbury moment. I don't know about that.
No, hang on, bud. You look at the ladder, right? I've got the ladder in front of me. They've played 22 games, 35 points. 4th spot, 24 games. Tottenham's played 42 points. So theoretically, they could be 1 point behind Tottenham if they win their next 2 games or their catch-up games.
That's definitely
will be an achievement for them. Will be a hell of an achievement. Gentlemen, we have some European football coming up this week. We are going to really, really quickly predict these. Our tipping competition's heating up as well. Robbie in the lead on 120. RJ and I equal last on 118. It's the blue. It's something that's going on for the blue kids. Boys, European football returns, the Champions League. I'm going to put the fixtures up. We're going to give some real quick fires. We're not going to dawdle too much on these. Liverpool, Real Madrid, Wednesday morning. RJ.
Tough game, man. Tough game. What's the aggregate score?
This is the first game. This is the first leg.
Yeah, that's right. I was wondering why I didn't remember the first one. I think Liverpool at home will be buoyed by recent results. I reckon this one ends 2-2. I reckon 2-2.
Robbie?
I think Liverpool 2-1 at home. I don't know. They're just in that little bit of form. And Real Madrid have been very up and down, mate. I think it's about 10 points buffer between them and Barca at the moment. So, look, interesting game. I just think with a bit of form at home, it'll be an interesting game.
Lock me in for a 2-1 with you, Robbie. I like that. Leipzig, Manchester City is on the Thursday. This is going to be an interesting one too, but I think Pep's team have the caliber and the squad depth to really turn up for this. I'm going with City 2-0 away from home. What about you, Rob?
I'm going to go 1-1. All those reasons you said what happened against Bournemouth, and it was a 1-1 draw. Leipzig can upset, especially at home. I'm just going to go 1-1. Look, City have got the team and the squad. Still going to go 1-1 on this one.
Right. Arj?
I just think City, they've just got too good of numbers, and I reckon, for me, if all goes well, they walk away with this tight 2-1 victory.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Let's look at the next one. Frankfurt, Napoli. I know Steve, good friend of ours, watches this sometimes. If I don't say Napoli, he'll be upset with me. That guy, I can't say it. Crashia, what? Robbie, tell me, mate. What's his name?
The Georgian, that's all I call him. I can't say his name either.
It's like Cracciatella, something like that. I can't pronounce it, but man, different level that guy's playing on. He's someone who we'll see, I'm sure, snapped up by Chelsea in the next couple of weeks. I'm going Napoli 2-0 in this fixture. What about you, Arj?
Stop throwing Chelsea under the bus, mate. Enough's enough. Cut it out.
Go on.
Napoli, mate. Convincing. I take them to be 3-1 here.
Cavradonna. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, look, Napoli, one of the most informed teams in Europe. 3-0 for me, and Oshahim, geez, another one. I want him at United next year.
RJ, Inter, Porto.
I'm confident. I'm feeling we haven't been amazing domestically, but I think we've got enough firepower at home. I think we take this one 2-1 in the end.
Okay. Robbie.
Inter, 1-0 Inter for me at home. As much as they're my enemy as a Juve fan, I do think they win this game 1-0.
Lock me in for exactly the same as Rob. That rounds up the Champions League action. Of course, though, for those of us like Robbie and I, Europe's premier competition, the one that everyone really cares about.
Scott, don't say that. Next year we're going to be in the Champions League. Hopefully, what are you going to be saying then?
Oh look, only for this season. Yeah, I think that Antonio.
All three of us will be there. All three of us will be there. We're going to win the
Yeah.
Champions League. You guys will qualify the top 4. Everyone's happy.
That's it.
Make sure you boys check out Larry's other podcast, Any Rugby League Fans, the Gone for 10 show. Check that out. He's not a bad Pro Clubs player, and he's a good bloke too. So make sure you show them some love. We're going to go through these really quick because let's be real, half the games no one cares about. Juventus, let's do that one. Rob?
Look, as a Juve fan, I want them to continue this. I'm going to go 1-0. We had a 1-0 draw first leg, so this will be interesting. It's back to there's no away goals anymore. They don't matter anymore. So whoever wins, obviously I'm back in Juve.
Okay. What about you, Arj?
Yeah, I think I'll get through in the end. 2-1 to Juve.
Okay. I'm going to go with Juve 2-0 in this one. Let's go Manchester United, Barcelona. This is the big one. Rob?
Yeah. I'm gonna say the boys are gonna get through. I don't know the score, but I was so impressed with how we played at the new camp. Obviously, a 2-2 draw. We threw away the 2-1 lead, but both teams, honestly, as a neutral, you could have enjoyed that game. It was so good. It was end to end. It was 16 attempts by each team. This will be interesting. Obviously, with the home crowd, I'd like to maybe edge this one out, but it could go either way, man. Quality in both teams, but I will go for my boys, 2-1. Rashford on the score sheet again.
There we go. The United boys are rolling into the chat. Good evening, Emad. Mate, I can't tell which one it is. Antonio, Larry, they're both all right, fellas. They're both all right. I didn't know that Larry could speak much Italian. Hoping that Arsenal lose. Well, you expect that. And Daniel, Manchester United 2-0. We like that. Roma, Salzburg. Salzburg took the first one 1-0.
1-0, yeah.
Roma, Mourinho got some work to do. Can they do it, Robbie?
I'm going to say, I think they lose this in extra time. I think this will be 1-0, and then they'll go to extra time and they'll lose.
Okay, Arch.
Nah, Tammy Abraham inspired Roma 2-1 to the Romans.
I hope the Romans go through, especially Dybala as well, but they still got to peg it back.
All right, I think we can leave it there for now, boys.
That's it. That'll do, boys.
Plenty of good fixtures. Before we leave, I want to show you guys 2 kits. Just want your opinion on these kits. I think these are right up there. Some very nice ones. This I've got on the way. Managed to get my hands on one. Dortmund Special Edition 3rd kit. What do you think of these, boys?
Sex. I love it.
Arch, you fan?
Back in black. Very classy.
You can't beat a black kit. A good black kit.
Look
honestly.
at that. It's just beautiful kit.
Plain and simple, man.
But do we all look as good when we put that jersey on?
Mate, well, I'll wear it as soon as it arrives. I'll wear it and I'll show you boys.
Beautiful.
And you can let me know. I'm no singlet Rob, but mate, I can rock a black kit. One more I want to show you. I think this one's actually a much nicer kit. This is from Sweden, from AIK. Have a look at this. It's a little bit different, but look at that gold, the badge, the old school tick. What do you think of this, boys?
Yeah, look, I don't know the team. That's why I probably haven't got it.
Yeah, it's from Stockholm, Sweden.
Stockholm, okay. I think it looks
AIK, I think.
Looks nice, man. I do like it. I do like it. It's a yes from me.
Roscoe?
Yeah, it's not bad. Like it's nice. It's different. I can see why you like it. I think I like the sleeves, the black and gold sleeves. To be honest,
love that. I like the old school Nike tick. This, I'm hoping I can get my hands on. It's not going to be easy, but
I want Adidas to do the old like Adidas like for our jerseys and stuff. I love that badge.
Right, we have talked for 45 minutes, much longer than we planned to. But you know what? When you're having a great time, why the hell not? If you're a Chelsea fan, you don't want to miss about 20 to 30 minutes. That mark was all Chelsea. United fans, I know some of you missed the start. First 10 minutes was all you. Then it was Arsenal, Europe, all the good things. We are back on Thursday evening, 8:30 p.m. with Paul from the Tomb Review. We will be previewing that cup final Come on, Newcastle. And we'll, of course, be doing some predictions for the weekend's football. But until then, take care. Look after yourselves. Enjoy your football. We'll see you back on Thursday night for another live stream this week. Boys, any final words?
Good night.
Oh,
That's
I like
life.
that, Rob. Simple.
Yeah,
That's
that's
life. Take care.